cow. Here we go. So I am a 35-year-old non-binary person who uses they, them pronouns, and I want to tell you a little bit about how I got here. Hi, I'm Renee. I'm a gender-affirming voice teacher, and this is my gender journey. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about how I went from assigned female at birth to proudly non-binary for the last 10 years. So as far back as I can remember, I was uncomfortable with the trappings of girlhood and womanhood. I was unironically not like other girls. I remember being 14 and being like really repulsed by the idea of childbirth. I didn't want to play with dolls, like all that really normal trans stuff. But then when I turned 17, I went to university and I met other people like me. And at the time, that's would have been 2005, we didn't have the word non-binary. That just wasn't like in the popular lexicon. So I started identifying as a genderqueer woman and then eventually just genderqueer. And I still used she, her pronouns, but being genderqueer was like what you were at that time. If you were like me, I don't know. And then a little later, I got on Tumblr.com.
Do not cite the deep magic to me, witch. I was there when it was written.
And it's kind of a classic story now. I learned a lot about different types of gender identities, and it became kind of a safe space to try on different labels and different pronouns. I found the term demigirl, and I was like, oh yeah, this sounds a little bit more like me, like more than genderqueer. Like, I never felt, when I think about genderqueer, I kind of think about gender fuckery, like a combination of, extremes of masculinity and femininity. And I never really felt like I was queering gender. I was just myself, you know what I mean? So I left genderqueer and I tried on demigirl. I felt like, part of me was girl maybe, but then part of me wasn't, I don't know. It was really confusing, but the label felt a little bit more comfortable. So I tried that on Tumblr, not telling anybody in my life, just putting it on Tumblr. And at the same time, I started using she/they pronouns just to like dip my little toe in the water and see how it felt. And then what I decided to do was to slowly come out as non-binary. When I finally found that word, I was like, this one feels really good, but I wasn't yet confident enough to like tell everyone in my life. So I was dating someone at the time and I was like, hey, could you, just for the next month or so, use they, them pronouns to refer to me? And he was like, yeah, no problem, whatever. And so slowly, one friend at a time, I started asking people in my life to use they, them pronouns for me until almost everybody knew, basically. I just wasn't out to my parents. I wasn't out publicly on my website. And actually, I remember I paid a poet to write my bio for me without using any pronouns at all.
My lords! My ladies, and everybody else here not sitting on a cushion.
Because I knew I wasn't comfortable with she, her, but I wasn't yet comfortable enough to let the world know that I wanted to use they, them. So there was a brief period on my website where my whole bio was just beautifully written, but without any pronouns.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll be here all week.
And then around 10 years ago, so I would have been like 25, 26, I just was like, okay, this is silly. Like everyone in my life knows that I'm non-binary. So I put it online and I changed my website, but it still took me a few more years after that before I felt comfortable telling my parents. You know how it is. They're like boomers. I didn't know how they would react. And they've been very cool. It's taken a little bit of time to like get used to the they, them pronouns thing, but they were always very accepting from the jump, even when it's been hard for them. And that's really, as a millennial, the best you can hope for. It was another 10 years after coming out as non-binary before I had top surgery. So I had top surgery last April. It's the best thing I've ever done. But honestly, I'm glad I waited because it was the right time. Like when I got it was the right time for my body. I've had really bad chronic pain for the last 15 years, but the last 5 years it started to like get a little bit better. As you can see, I'm standing, which is something I could never have done like 10 years ago. So when I had top surgery, for me, was the right time. But everybody knows when their right time is, So yeah, now I'm here. I'm planning another gender-affirming surgery in the coming year. I'm planning to get a hysterectomy. And everyone's journey is different, so I just thought I would share mine. And if some part of this resonates with you, let me know in the comments. And I hope this helps.